Welcome to the Marriage Company, establishing effective communication through spiritual growth.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. We got something special for you. Testing 1 by 1. We were having some fun in the army all day and all of the night. And tonight we're going to talk about fighting in the relationship. In this corner hails G. Riley's 5'10", 250 pounds, out of Pensacola, Florida. He is a right-hander. He's about 5'7", dealing with the fights versus his opponent, Katasha Riley. She's about 5'5", about 150 pounds. She hails from Columbus, Georgia, and she is undefeated in the relationship, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Pastor Taylor? She is undefeated in a relationship. But on a serious note, I told my wife, let's talk about something that's real. Well, we always try to talk about things that are real in a relationship.
Yeah.
But let's talk about something that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And that's that fighting and the arguing and the putting on hands and the verbal abuse and the physical abuse in a relationship. If you're in a relationship, even a good relationship, hey, you're going to have a fight. You're going to have a disagreement. And some of the more serious relationships, you're going to actually get physical with somebody. A side note, before I met Tasha, I was in a relationship. And I remember we were in a very, very, very heated discussion. And I told myself, if she say one more word, she's going to get choked out. And so sometimes we can go looking for a fight. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes the fight looks for us. But either way it go, you still have to be ready. When the fight chooses you or you choose the fight, there are still rules to engagement when you're talking about fighting or arguing and have a disagreement in a relationship. Right, baby?
Yeah, because some things could be really, cutthroat in a relationship and can just kill it. And even if you're, you just, I ain't gonna say playing, but you just done went too far. You done crossed the line, and then you make up later. Words, you can't repossess them.
You cannot repossess them words.
So, taking it too far can really just, cause a tight spot of unforgiveness, and people just harbor those things. And I just know that when you are in your relationship with the one that you love, you really got to be careful about the words that you choose.
Yes.
And so, even, like Riley said, and people, you start off young, you start off in a relationship and you immature. And so you're fighting. You're saying things that you shouldn't say to one another, because of the immaturity. And it can really burn the bridge even with the family. So, we just want to talk about, some of those things. Everybody got a past, and everybody, got maybe that one time that they just, went too far. And of course, we don't condone domestic violence. But if you have been in that situation, you got to understand, that it's a tough spot and you really need to do something about it. Me and Riley, we try our best to basically just, have a heated conversation and not go as far as, saying things that we're going to regret or that's going to leave a scar, later. And sometimes, even in that, it's a scar that's left there. And you just don't want to do that with the one, the one that you love.
If I can interject for a minute. Tasha and I also talk.
Oh, you let me talk for a long time. I'm proud of you.
Tasha and I also talk about in a relationship when you're fighting, because listen, if you're going to fight with the one you love, there's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. You're going to fight with the ones you love. But Tasha and I talk about the deal breakers. Even when you're fighting, there has to be a deal breaker. And a deal breaker says, look, if you do this to me, I'm not coming back. That's it. And so you have to establish your deal breakers in a relationship, because you're going to argue, you're going to fight, you're going to put on that mask and make it seem like you're all right around everybody else. And then when you go home, it's going to erupt like a volcano. And so my deal breaker, and we talk about this all the time, my deal breaker is this. I told my wife, Tasha, I said, listen, don't put your hands on me. Don't slap me. Don't pinch me. Don't hit me with a pillow. Look, I'm a grown man, and I do not appreciate anyone putting their hands on me. So in a relationship, if you are angry, my deal breaker is you can get angry, but like the Bible says, sin not. So my deal breaker is Tasha can get angry, she can get mad, she can say what she want to say, but do not put your hands on me. That's my deal breaker.
I remember one time Riley made me so mad. I was so emotional. I threw a can of oil sheen at his head in the salon.
And she better be glad it missed, because I promise you, I would have whooped you like your daddy never whooped you. I promise you that. But seriously, that's my deal breaker. Do not put your hands on me. We can argue, we can fuss, we can fight, but do not put your hands. What's your deal breaker?
I think my deal breaker is cheating, in just the emotional, domestic part of verbal abuse, because I've been there before.
Cheating. So okay, what if I'm texting? Is that still cheating? Is that a deal breaker? Because I need to be clear on what is considered cheating. So if I'm texting somebody inappropriate things, another woman, is that considered cheating?
Yes, that's considered
so that's
cheating.
Part of your deal breaker.
Yes.
So you gone. If I had a weak moment and I text another woman, so that's it. You're gone. That's your deal breaker.
You better eat some spinach.
But you understand.
So you be
seriously
strong.
though, is that considered cheating, texting?
That's considered cheating. I said that. I meant it.
But
Look, I done been through all that stuff before. And the thing for me is that, I know that you are only human. You're only flesh. And we make mistakes. But everybody have their limits and their boundaries.
right.
When somebody, is talking to me, and it's a private conversation, and they're actually, just wanting to vent to me about some things concerning their relationship, that might not be my deal breaker. Stay in it if you want to. But it's certain things that I bled out in a relationship before, and I just choose not to bleed like that never again. And so you gotta, that's why effective communication is so important for me. To communicate, to talk about it, to get it out. No matter how I feel, I just make sure that I filter that thing with my mouth before I say it, because I don't want to hurt you. If it's something that is just that deep, I just I shut down. And I know that shutting down could be very uncomfortable for you, but a part of my shutting down is I don't want to say nothing that in my emotions that I can regret. I don't want to say nothing that is gonna put a stain on our relationship. So I get in a quiet place, a place of meditation, a place where God has to deal with me and my emotions. So
I want to talk about that place.
Yeah.
We're if you just signed on, we're talking about fighting, Riley versus Tosh. We're talking about fighting in a relationship. And my wife just said the word place. In boxing, you fight in a ring in boxing. And if you watch MMA, the same thing. You fight in a ring. And so even in a relationship, you can't fight every place in a relationship. If you're going to have an argument or a misunderstanding, there's a place that you resolve that. It's not at the mall. It's not at work. It's not when you're out in the public. That place is the bedroom. You go to the bedroom. You go to somewhere private.
Go to your private chambers.
You go to your private chambers.
Yeah.
And you discuss the problem in private. Because when you're fighting as a professional boxer, you're fighting in the ring, so everybody can see the fight, so everybody know what's going on. But if you're married, it's different. Everybody don't need to know what's going on in your place, right? And so you need to go somewhere quiet and you need to discuss what's going on in the relationship. It's not like when you're raising kids and a kid does something at the mall and you punish the kid right then and there. You don't wait till you get home. You go ahead and whoop that tail right then and there. Well, marriage and relationships are different. And so sometime when you get heated out in public, you kind of like have to bite your tongue until you get to a safe, secure place. Because in a relationship, you might have kids, you might have parents, sister, brothers. People are looking at you and they're looking up to you. And so if they see you fighting in a certain way, it diminishes kind of like who you are in their eyes. And trust me, if you're in a relationship, you are an example to somebody.
It devalues your relationship.
Right.
If you know it or not. I mean, you can't stand up and try to stand up tall and try to be, the boss, the man, the boss lady or whatever. And that's making you letting people know you handling your business, in your relationship. No, because even if your significant other knows that you are like that, somewhere in there is embarrassment. Somewhere in there is failure. And they don't like it, because who likes that?
It's almost like in marriage, sometimes you have to have a poker face. I'm not saying be fake. I'm saying sometimes you have to have a poker face.
Right.
And the poker face is keeping people out of your business in your relationship. Because the more people get inside of your business, the more you're going to fight, because that's the more information you're getting from other people is going to affect the relationship of what we have going on.
Cause confusion.
Right. So you have to maintain that poker face as well.
But that doesn't mean that you bleed out in the relationship and you just, it's like most African American homes I know, you grew up where don't tell nobody.
Be quiet.
You don't tell nobody what's going on in this house.
Right.
And so it's a lot of secrets. And you learn how to keep a secret. But it's certain things that, if you're bleeding out or you being, you got a domestic situation going on, you need to tell somebody. You're going to have to talk about that, because hurt people hurt other people.
Right.
And it's going to cause, you'll burn down. I told you before, a woman that is fearful, a woman that is hurt, she's a dangerous woman. She will burn down the whole house. She will burn it down to the ground. And when I say, not literally, but she'll burn that thing down with her mouth and her attitude, and she won't say nothing.
What we're talking about,
she'll keep all that inside. And when I say she won't say nothing, she won't get to the root of the problem, the nitty gritty of what's really wrong with her. So she won't say nothing. She'll just keep that inside of her until she loses her identity.
Well, what you're talking about is basically, we're talking about Riley versus Tasha, and we're talking about fighting in a relationship. But there's another kind of fight we didn't talk about, and that's the internal fight that you have within yourself.
Right.
And that's that woman you're talking about. She will burn down her house to burn the house next door to her down. And a lot of us will do that. We will self-destruct. We will self-destruct in ourselves in order to mess somebody else up on the other side.
Right.
And that's that fight that you have going on internally.
Right. From
past hurts in relationships. And so it's like when you go into a new relationship, you'll sabotage that. Subconsciously, you'll sabotage it because you still thinking about the previous relationship you was in before the current relationship.
And insecurity. People be insecure in love. They are insecure where they don't really know that you really love me.
Mm-hmm.
So, they'll do it then. And you got to get in a place in in your relationship that is a safe haven. And when you see all the signs in a relationship that this could be happening, he could be a cheater, she could be, a drug user, this, that, and the other. Those are signs. A lot of times when we fall in love, we dive in so deep. We really like the person. We fall in love with the person. We don't want to come out of that. It's a comfort in not being alone.
We give them 12 red flags, but because they in love, they only see roses. But it's 12 red flags, but because you in love, you think they roses.
Right. And
so a lot of times, because of that internal fight, it messes up our judgment pertaining to other people. And so we have to pay attention to that internal fight as well, because that internal fight will mess around and be an external fight with everybody that we meet.
You can't think that you so good, and I'm talking about when we talk about real stuff, you can't think that you look so good, you so fine, your sex like wine, till it's gonna keep somebody there. Cause it's not. What I told you before, I said, Riley, ain't no woman milkshake better than somebody else's, because we all got the same milkshake, and it's about the flavor that you add to it.
It is about the flavor. That is true. It's about that flavor.
So that's one of the things is you could be the holly bee in the relationship, but crazy. You should have got some help when you was younger. So you're broken, and you bring those broken pieces to the relationship, and sometimes that significant other just ignores it, and can't help you. I explained something when we was talking a couple of days ago, and I said, Riley, it does not matter what you do for me, how much you love me.
And I do love you.
I appreciate that. But it does not matter if I don't love myself. If I don't love myself, and I'm always, one of my eyes bigger than the other one, my lip this, my nose this, my body this, my this, that, and the other. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I can't do. You can't fix all of that. You just can't. And so it's going to be hard for you to love me. And sometimes people make it hard for you to love them, and they won't get help. When you don't know what's wrong with you, you need to go and find out what's wrong with you, because it's a fight in there. It's a fight in the inside, and you're gonna tear somebody up.
Well, there's another kind of fight that I want to add to it. But there's a fight for your spouse. There's a fight that you should fight. When you're in love with somebody, there's a certain fight that you should fight for them. You should fight for their love. You should fight for their respect. Right. You should fight temptation. You should fight all the things that negatively impact the relationship that you're in with that person. Right. So there are many kinds. Not only, are you going to fight in a relationship, you have to fight for the relationship as well. And you have to know the difference between fighting for a relationship and fighting in the relationship. Because I think sometimes some of these young ladies blur the line with fighting in the relationship and fighting for the relationship. Because if a joker going on top of your head, knock y'all in the eyes and choking y'all out, baby, you need to fight like hell to get out that relationship. Right. And so it's a different fight. Mm-hmm. And so fight is not always a negative connotation. It's sometimes you have to fight for the love you have for that person and that respect. You just have to pay attention to the fight. Right, sweet thing? I don't want to fight with you. I don't listen. I don't like fighting with my wife. I don't like when the vibe and we're not getting along and stuff like that. I don't like it, and I know she don't like it, but God made us human. And because we're human, we're going to make mistakes. And we're, like we always say, we live in the same house, but sometimes we look out of different windows. And so sometimes you're going to fight and have that argument. Sometimes somebody's going to rub you the wrong way. But like my wife said earlier, you can't repossess words. And so when you enter into the fight, I don't want you to think so much about Riley versus Tasha or you versus your spouse. When you enter into the fight, I want you to think about fighting to get back to that point where you fell in love.
Right. It's a scripture that's in the Bible, and it talks about when a man is frustrated, when he's aggravated and all of that, and you just running your mouth and you just tearing him up and making it just, you aggravating it, aggravating the relationship, aggravating the situation, that man will get on that roof and he won't even come down. He don't even want to be in his own house, you know? And so, you know, he'll take overtime at work. And you won't even notice that he taking overtime at work because he just don't want to be at home. Or he'll be at the gym all night long. Because he just don't want to go home.
Or in the woods, hunting all day. Or fishing all day.
Right. And so he'll stay outside. He'll stay outside the house all day long just to come home, get something to eat, and go to bed, just so he can have some peace. And you know, this might not be, you know, an entertaining conversation to some people, but it's real. It's real in the relationship. You know, it's real that, you know, you got to, if you're gonna stay in it and fight for it, you got to stop fighting the person that you with and grow up, mature. You know, you got to make some decisions. You can't ignore when somebody actually has a serious problem.
Yes.
They might have PTSD, suffering from some type of mental illness. Depression. You got to figure out a way, if you can, to help them. You know, because if you don't, Riley said something to me some years ago, what he went through. He said, if you fight a monster long enough, you're going to become a monster.
Yes.
And you're going to start fighting. You just going to start fighting as hard and heavy as them. And it's not going to help the situation at all. It's just going to take it to another, you're going to take that thing to another level. Because I'm telling you, it's some stuff I took to another level. I knew it was time for me to go. And I didn't want to lose. The relationship was an investment. It was a promise. And I didn't want to break it. But some things are meant to be broken because it's the end of a thing. And in order for you to have a new beginning of a thing, some things you're going to have to let go in and separate. And that's even in relationships with other people. Let it go. When you see those signs and you know those signs and wonders are there, and the relationship is not thriving like it should anymore, or it's, you know, it's deceitful, it's betrayal, it's all that kind of stuff, then it might be time for you to reconsider so that you can get situated in another situation.
And in closing, if you're listening out there, male, female, if you have kids or you're in a relationship, you're married or whatever, I'm sorry. Instead of fighting against the people that you love, fight for the people that you love. Fathers, fight for your daughters. Pray for your daughters. Mothers, fight for your son. Pray for your son. Husband, fight for your wife and kids, man. Fight to protect them. You know, you the example. You are the protector. They need to look at you for guidance. You shouldn't be the one fighting and fussing and cussing. You the standard bearer in the house. So fight for that love for your family, man. Please, we're losing too many young men and young women out here to these streets, man, with this gun violence, fighting this gun violence, man. So, you know, turn the fight around, man. Fight to love these young people. I know you raise your sons and your daughters and they grown and all that, but man, look, if you see a young man or one woman out there, man, that's going in the wrong direction, that's not your son or daughter, man, fight for them. Give them more than just telling them to pull their pants up. I'm so sick and tired of adults telling young people, pull your pants up. Man, give them more than something besides pull their pants up. Fight for them, man. Give them something.
Opportunity, hope.
Right, give them an opportunity to hope. Give them something tangible, man, that they can work for, man. Don't fight and war against these young people, man. We losing them, man. We losing the battle. So, man, turn the fight around, man. Fight to love people, man. Remember the last name Love, man. Everybody with the last name Love, man. Let's fight, man, and love and make this world a better place.
All right, y'all.
We are the Marriage Company, establishing effective communication through spiritual growth, man. Fight for the love, man. Peace.
We love y'all.